darkness was suffocating. IT pressed against my skin, filled my lungs, seeped into every pore. My hands were shaking so violently that I could barely feel the wall beneath my fingers. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would burst through my ribs. It was just a closet, a small, windowless closet in my sister's house, the one she had just bought with the money her parents had given her for her graduation. They had thrown her a lavish party, the kind of party they had never thrown for me. They had invited everyone they knew, the extended family, the neighbors, the friends. And they had locked me in here because I had asked to leave. Just a few minutes, my mother had said, her voice sharp and cold. Just a few minutes in the dark. It won't kill you. She was wrong. The door clicked shut. I heard the lock turn. I heard my mother's footsteps retreating. I heard the music from the party, the laughter, the joy. I was surrounded by happiness, and I was drowning in fear. I had told them about the claustrophobia, that I had told them about the darkness. I had told them about the kidnapping, the container, the 24 hours of terror that had destroyed something inside me forever. They had known, and they had locked me in anyway. The darkness was closing in. My breath was coming in gasps. My vision was blurring. My heart was racing so fast I could barely feel it. And then I remembered. I remembered the night I had been rescued. I remembered the way my mother had hugged my sister first. I remembered the way my father had said, "Thank God we saved the right one." I remembered the way they had told me to be grateful, to be quiet, to be invisible. I remembered all of it, and I realized in that moment that I had never really been a part of their family. I had been a ghost, a reminder of their guilt, a burden they had to carry. I closed my eyes. I stopped fighting. I let the darkness take me. And then I was gone. Hashtag chapter 1, The Invisible Daughter. Objective commentary, The Observer's Voice. My name is Dr. Samuel Chen, and I have been the family physician for the Sterling family for 25 years. I delivered both of their daughters, Elena and Clara. I held their mother's hand through the difficult births. I watched the girls grow up, watched them take their first steps, speak their first words, and I saw the bond between them flourish at first. Everything changed after the kidnapping. Elena was 9 to Clara was 7. They were walking home from school when a van pulled up beside them and 2 men dragged them inside. For 24 hours, both girls were held in a shipping container, terrified and alone. And then, the kidnappers made their demand the parents had to choose. They could only save one daughter. The other would die. Our family was not wealthy. I did not know then why they were targeted. I only learned later that my father's reckless investments had left a trail of destroyed lives. The kidnapping, the cruelty, the choice, it was revenge. My parents chose Clara. They would later say it was because she was younger, more vulnerable, that they had made a snap decision based on instinct, but I always wondered if they had already been preparing to choose Clara, if I had always been the least favorite daughter, the one who was easier to sacrifice. I was rescued 24 hours later by a random stroke of luck. A passing truck driver heard my screams and called the police. I was dehydrated, traumatized, barely conscious. I had been in that container for a full day, terrified, alone, and utterly abandoned. After that night, my parents were consumed by guilt. They tried to make it up to me, and my mother quit her job to stay home with me. She slept in my room every night. She made sure the lights were always on, that I was never left in the dark. But that guilt also bred resentment. They resented me for needing them. They resented me for being so fragile, so damaged, so broken. They never said it out loud, but I could feel it in the way they looked at me, the way they talked to me, the way they treated me like a burden they had to carry. And Clara, my younger sister, was the ultimate victim of their guilt. They sent her away to live with our grandmother in the countryside, removing her from my life so that I would not be triggered by her presence. They thought they were protecting me. They were really just getting rid of a constant reminder of their choice. Clara grew up believing I hated her. She grew up believing she was the reason our family was broken. She grew up feeling abandoned, unwanted, and unloved. and I could never tell her the truth, because the truth was that I had never blamed her. I had never resented her. I had loved her from the moment she was born, with all my heart. I had been the one who held her hand when she was scared, who comforted her when she cried, who made her laugh when she was sad. And I had been the one who was left behind. Objective commentary. The observer's voice. I have seen Elena many times over the years, as her physician and, eventually, as a trusted confidant. She would come to my office, ostensibly for a checkup, but we both knew she was really there to talk. She told me about the nightmares, the panic attacks, the constant fear of darkness. She told me about her mother's guilt, her father's distance, her sister's pain. And she told me about the decision she had made years ago to forgive everyone, to move forward, to be grateful for what she had. But I could see the weight she carried, the burden she could never put down. I could see the scars that no one else could see. And I knew that one day she would break. I just didn't know that it would be the last time I saw her alive. Hashtag chapter 2, the party. Clara's graduation party was a grand affair, the kind of event that my parents had never thrown for me. They had spent thousands of dollars renting a venue, catering a feast, hiring a live band. The guest list was long, and distinguished professors, mentors, friends, family. Everyone was there to celebrate Clara's success, her achievements, her bright future. I had been invited, of course. I was expected to be there. I was expected to smile, to congratulate her, to pretend that everything was fine. And so I went. I wore a dress I had borrowed from a friend because I couldn't afford a new one. I arrived early, helped set up the decorations, arranged the flowers. I smiled at the guests, made small talk, tried to be invisible. Clara was glowing. She was wearing a beautiful dress, her hair perfectly styled, her eyes shining with excitement. She looked happy. She looked free. My mother was hovering around her, adjusting her dress, smoothing her hair, beaming with pride. My father was standing nearby, his arm around his younger daughter, his expression full of love and admiration. I watched them, and I felt nothing. Not jealousy, not bitterness. Just a quiet, peaceful emptiness. I had stopped expecting their love years ago. I had stopped needing it. And then the lights went out. The room was plunged into darkness. The guests gasped, then laughed, then started cheering. They were singing happy birthday to Clara, even though it wasn't her birthday. It was a surprise, a joke, a silly tradition that everyone had planned ahead of time. I froze. The darkness wrapped around me like a shroud. MY heart started racing. MY hands started shaking. The memories came flooding back. The container, the screams, the smell of rust and despair. I felt like I was suffocating. "Mom," I said, my voice barely a whisper, "I need to leave. I need to go back to my room. Please." My mother turned to look at me. For a moment, I saw something in her eyes, a flicker of pity, of guilt. And then it was gone. "Elena, you need to grow up," she said, her voice cold and hard. "It's just a few minutes of darkness. It won't kill you." "Please," I begged. "Please, I can't breathe. I need to get out." She grabbed my wrist, her grip tight and painful. She dragged me to the nearest bedroom, the one that was supposed to be my room. She shoved me inside, and before I could do anything, she slammed the door shut. "This is your sister's night," she said, her voice muffled through the wood. "Stop making everything about you. For once, can't you just be happy for her?" I heard the lock click. I heard her footsteps retreating, and I was alone in the dark. Objective commentary. The observer's voice. The autopsy report was devastating. Elena had died of a heart attack, brought on by the severe panic attack she had suffered while locked in the closet. Her heart had simply given out. IT was a tragic, senseless death. A death that could have been prevented if only someone had cared enough to let her out. When I heard the news, I was furious. I wanted to scream at her parents, to shake them, to make them understand what they had done. They had locked their daughter in a dark room, knowing full well what it would do to her. They had knowingly, deliberately put her life at risk. But I couldn't scream. I couldn't even speak. I just sat in my office, staring at the report, and I wept. Hashtag, 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 chapter 3, the revelation. I didn't know I was dead at first. The darkness was still there, but it felt different. It wasn't suffocating anymore. It was peaceful, calm. I felt like I was floating, like my body was no longer a weight I had to carry. And then I heard the voices. Elena, wake up. Please wake up. It was my mother. She was crying, sobbing. I had never heard her cry like that before. Elena, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please don't leave us. I wanted to respond. I wanted to tell her that I was okay, that I forgave her, that everything was fine, but I couldn't. My voice was gone, and my body was gone. I was just a ghost, watching from the shadows. I watched my parents find my body. I watched my mother scream, my father weep. I watched Clara run into the room, her face pale, her eyes wide with shock. I watched her fall to her knees beside me, begging me to wake up. And I felt nothing. Not pity, not anger, just a quiet, peaceful emptiness. The funeral was a blur that I watched from above as my family mourned. I watched my mother break down, my father withdraw, Clara sob uncontrollably. I watched the guests, the extended family, the friends, all of them offering their condolences, their sympathies, their platitudes. And then I watched them find the letters. Objective commentary, the observer's voice. I was the one who found the letters. After Elena's funeral, her mother asked me to go through her belongings. They wanted to donate her clothes, her books, her personal effects. They wanted to erase her from their lives as quickly and quietly as possible. But I knew Elena. I knew she would have left something behind, something for them to find, something to tell them the truth. The letters were in a box under her bed, hidden behind old photographs and mementos. There were dozens of them, each one addressed to a different family member. The first one was to her mother. Dear Mom, I know you will never read this because I will never have the courage to give it to you, but I need to say it anyway. I forgive you. I forgive you for choosing Clara that day. I forgive you for sending her away. I forgive you for all the years of silence, of distance, of pretending I didn't exist. I know it wasn't easy for you. I know you were trying to protect me. I know you did the best you could. But I also know that you stopped seeing me. You stopped seeing the person I was becoming. You only saw the victim, the burden, the reminder of your guilt. I wanted so badly for you to see me. I wanted you to know that I was strong, that I was capable, that I had moved on from the kidnapping. But you never gave me the chance. I love you, Mom. I always have, and I always will. But I can't keep living like this. I can't keep being invisible. Goodbye, Mom. Elena. The second letter was to her father. Dear Dad, I know you never wanted me. You never wanted any of this. You wanted the perfect family, the perfect life, the perfect daughters. And I was never perfect enough. I don't blame you for choosing Clara. I don't even blame you for your distance. But I do wish you had tried. I wish you had fought for me the way you fought for her. It's too late now. I know that. But I want you to know that I forgive you. I forgive you for all of it. I hope you find peace. Elena. The third letter was to Clara. Dear Clara, I love you. I have always loved you. I have never blamed you for what happened. You were just a child, just like me. I know you think I resented you. I know you think I was jealous of the attention, the love, the success. But I wasn't. I was proud of you. I was so proud of you. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you that. I'm sorry I couldn't be the sister you deserved. I'm sorry for all the years we lost. But I want you to know that I never stopped loving you. And I never stopped hoping that one day we would find our way back to each other. Be happy, Clara. Be happy for both of us. Your sister, Elena. The last letter was addressed to no one. It was just a few lines scrawled in hurried handwriting. I don't know who needs to read this, but if you're reading it, it means I'm gone. It means I couldn't survive the darkness one more time. Please don't blame yourselves. Please don't carry the weight of my death. I made my own choices. I chose to let go. And I'm at peace now. I'm finally free. Objective commentary. The observer's voice. When I read those letters, I wept. I wept for Elena, for the pain she had carried her whole life. I wept for her family, for the guilt they would now carry for the rest of theirs. I wept for Clara, for the sister she had lost, the sister she had never really known. But mostly, I wept because I knew the truth. Elena had not made a choice. She had been forced. She had been cornered, trapped, and abandoned by the people who were supposed to love her the most. And in the end, she had paid the ultimate price for their guilt. I would never forgive her parents for what they had done. I would never forgive them for locking her in that room, for ignoring her pleas, for treating her like she was nothing. And I would spend the rest of my life trying to make sure that no one ever forgot Elena's story. #, Chapter 4, The Reckoning. Clara found the letters first. She had been going through my room, looking for something to remember me by. She found the box under my bed, the letters hidden in plain sight. She read every single one. She sobbed through each word, feeling the weight of my love, my forgiveness, my pain. When she finished, she walked out of the room. She found our mother and father in the living room, sitting in silence, their faces pale and drawn. "You need to read these," she said, her voice shaking. "You need to see what she wrote." My mother took the letters. She read them in silence, her eyes scanning the words, her face slowly crumbling. "Oh, God," she whispered. "Oh, God, what have I done?" My father took the letters next. He read them, and his face went white. He didn't speak. He just stared at the paper, tears streaming down his cheeks. "She forgave us," my mother said, her voice broken. "She forgave us for everything. And we locked her in a closet. We locked her in the dark. We knew she was afraid, and we locked her in anyway." Clara looked at her parents, her face streaked with tears. "She loved us," she said. "She loved us, and we never saw it. We never saw her." My mother collapsed. My father held her, but his arms were trembling. They were both drowning in guilt, in grief, in the horrible, irreversible knowledge of what they had done. And I watched them from the shadows, and I felt nothing. Not pity, not anger, just a quiet, peaceful emptiness. Objective commentary. The observer's voice. I attended Elena's memorial service. It was a quiet affair, nothing like the lavish party her parents had thrown for Clara. Just a small gathering of people who had known and loved her. Clara gave a speech. She talked about Elena's kindness, her humor, her strength. She talked about the letters, the forgiveness, the love that had always been there. She talked about the sister she had never really known. And then she turned to her parents. "We failed her," she said, her voice steady. "All of us. We failed her. She needed us, and we weren't there for her. She was scared, she was hurting, and we ignored her." My mother broke down. My father held her, his own face wet with tears. They knew the truth. They had always known the truth. And now they had to live with it. #, epilogue, the ghost in the light. It has been 5 years since I died. 5 years since I escaped the darkness for good. I still watch my family from time to time, that I see Clara living her life, building a future. I see her trying to be happy, trying to be whole. I see her struggling, sometimes. With the weight of what happened, I see my parents, haunted by their choice. I see them trying to make amends, trying to be better, trying to live with the guilt. And I watch the world move on. I know now that the darkness was never my enemy. IT was my teacher. IT taught me to see the truth, to face the pain, to let go of the fear. It taught me that love is not always enough, that family is not always safe, that the people who are supposed to protect you can sometimes be the ones who hurt you the most. I don't blame them. I don't resent them. I don't even pity them. I just watch and I wait, and I hope that one day they will find the peace I have found. I am free now, free of the fear, the pain, the guilt, free of the darkness that once consumed me. And I am never going back. Final objective commentary: the observer's voice. Elena Sterling died because the people who were supposed to love her the most forgot to see her. They were so consumed by their own guilt, their own pain, their own selfishness, that they could not see the person she had become, the person she had always been. Her story is a warning. IT is a reminder that trauma does not end when the immediate danger is gone. IT is a reminder that healing requires more than just time. It requires understanding, compassion, and a willingness to truly see the people we love. I will never forget Elena. I will never forget the quiet strength she carried, the forgiveness she offered, the love she gave. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to honor her memory, to make sure that her story is never forgotten. Elena Sterling, the invisible daughter, the ghost in the light. You deserved better.